Are you ready for?
I am ruling.
Are you ready for the blue, or do we not need the blue?
Oh yeah. Well, folks. We are with color balancing. You may notice
Okay.
You may notice a little bit of a change here.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to say 38.1.
Got it. Before we start, Rick, there's been some interest in terms of nobody ever sees your legs.
Yeah, they're not great. I got varicose
veins. You want to roll
veins.
up your pants and see what you got?
No, let's just do it this way.
Damn it! Oh, God, Santa Maria!
These are not they're veiny.
God.
I've got super duper varicose veins, which means I have to wear like 3 socks. I got the outer sock. I got the athletics pressure sock. And under that, I've got the old person suppose pressure gradient sock. So no, it's better that I keep my pants on.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Rick.
Welcome.
You know, you might think that because I'm a life drawing teacher, I draw the nude all day, that this doesn't upset me. But the truth is, it is precisely because I'm a life drawing teacher that I'm upset by what I just saw.
Well, when I work for Lance and, I pose, he only gets 7/8 of me, which annoys him because he doesn't get this leg, because I have to keep, this leg's especially messed up, and I have to keep the socks on that leg at almost all times.
Nice.
So his students are missing this, they're missing half a leg.
I try to always have Rick model with his pants on. Let's just leave it at that.
That's great. Jeez.
So as this project's been going on, I've been working out like more and more obsessively, trying to look just a couple more % better on camera. And lately it's been getting crazy, 3 and 4 hours a day. And last week I said to Carol, I was semi-undressed, and I turned to her and I said, is there any chance that you could consider this attractive rather than crazy? And she said, nope. So.
You know what, Rick? There's 2 of us guys here doing this show. Let's put a call out to all the women that watch our show, and I don't think any do. But if they do, explain yourselves. What the hell's the matter with you people?
What do you mean?
Well,
we're 2 middle-aged Jews.
Rick is here a lovely puddle of man flesh, and Mrs. Rick is just not hot over the rippling muscles.
Well, nobody is. For every person, even if I were like a sex symbol to some segment of the population, which I'm not, a good operating principle is that however much a sex symbol somebody is in public, there's somebody at home who's sick of their shit. Like Mrs. Mel Gibson, for instance. I don't know, Mrs. Hugh Jackman seems to at least put on a good front and seems to like being with Hugh all the time and finds him attractive. But you can figure that a large segment of the sex symbol population has a significant other who's like, yeah, all right, okay, sure.
Interesting.
Plus, all the people who are sex symbols, the Chris Hemsworths of the world and the Ariana Grandes, what it takes to be a sex symbol, the dieting and the primping and the public appearances and the meetings and the working out with a trend. I would bet that most sex symbols are so exhausted from being sex symbols that they're not really very horny at all.
This is actually, there was a quote, I think it was Ryan Reynolds, but one of those guys was saying that he has to work out so much for those shows that he never feels strong and powerful. He always feels exhausted.
Well, that's the deal, that if you're a bodybuilder, for instance, you are supposed to exhaust yourself and dehydrate yourself so much by the day of the contest. Everything's supposed to come together so you reach minimum skin thickness to show your veins and your muscles and the various striations. Everything's supposed to come together on the day of the contest, and you're supposed to have barely enough energy to flex because you've debilitated yourself so much in pursuit of being maximally cut.
Look, like, do that again. Flex. Look at that. Look at that, guys. This is great television. We deserve 1 million viewers for those.
Yeah, but on a nearly 58-year-old guy, it's kind of gross rather
Can you
than.
do the flex again?
Yeah, do that. Look at the detailing. The detailing.
Yeah, but it's a little creepy on an old guy. Like,
I don't know.
no, like in a comedy, in a gross out comedy like The Hangover, you know, it's always fun to have the main characters accidentally walk into a swingers party where there's a 78-year-old naked guy who comes out of the party, and it's just, and a 78-year-old guy, like a skinny 78-year-old guy, has very little subcutaneous fat, so he's ripped, but it's the ripness is disgusting on a 78-year-old compared to, say, on a 28-year-old.
Oh God! So there's no.
Yeah, he did. There's a selfie. There's a famous selfie of Geraldo, like going, saying, "Hey, ladies, not bad." That's what his pose says. And there's a senator or a congressman who's doing that. Anybody over 50, like this, in a selfie, and probably in the show, it's a little creepy.
And wasn't that what Hugh Aberdeen's husband, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he's not 50, but he hit creepiness at whatever age he's in. And that leads to a topic, which is the two competing FBI conspiracy theories. And the theme of what I'm going to try to say a bunch tonight, which is read up on it yourself.
I just couldn't resist grabbing Rick.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that good? All right. So our first kind of topic of the night, where there are two competing FBI theories. One in which the FBI conspired against candidate Trump illegally, and one in which the FBI conspired on behalf of candidate Trump and through the election in his favor. And we can sketch each of them, and we're going to argue about it in just a sec, I assume. But I got to say, read up on each one yourself, because one of them turns out to, in my mind, turns out to be a lot goofier than the other one.
Really?
Yes. On your side, you've got the release the memo, the Devin Nunes memo, that conspiracy theory that said that based on a couple FBI agents who were having an affair with each other and emailing each other a lot, including some emails that said that they thought Trump was kind of a jackass. Or I don't know what they said exactly, but it was in that direction. They also thought Bernie was a jackass. They also didn't like Chelsea Clinton so much. But just based on the Trump comments, there's been this whole deal constructed that where conservatives claim that the FBI was out to screw over Trump.
Ha! Ha! What a ridiculous thing. All right, you go ahead.
Okay. Then on the other side, there's this thing that I've heard called the Trumplandia conspiracy, which is that
A bunch of nonsense.
all right, so the New York office of the FBI was in the tank for Trump and slow-footed the Anthony Weiner investigation. Now, Anthony Weiner is the guy who's now in jail, married to Hillary's assistant, her chief assistant, Huma Abedin.
Who was also a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, an organization dedicated to the destruction of the United States.
Okay, so Anthony...
Does that give you pause, by the way, Rick?
Not so much.
no big deal, right?
I haven't researched it enough.
No. Let me just fill you in. I know you had something to
No,
say.
you've said this before, but okay, just any.
Just to refresh your memory, she worked as an editor of a magazine, the Muslim Brotherhood Journal, and both her father and her brother are actual admitted members of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood.
So she wasn't in the Muslim Brotherhood, not being a
She
brother.
just worked for.
I assume it's just for
She
dudes.
was an editor of their journal, and then she became Hillary Clinton's main assistant after marrying this really ugly congressman.
People like to say he's ugly, but he's 6'4", the guy.
Okay,
And he's not the
got
cutest
height.
guy,
He's
but
got
if you
the height.
no, but like
But my question is, don't you think it's a little bit odd that of all the people out there Hillary could use to assist her, that she chose someone that was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, an organization dedicated to the destruction of the United States?
you just said she wasn't a member because she's
No,
not a brother.
she was an editor. She was an editor of their journal.
All right, so it's a little weird.
Well, she wouldn't be given a security clearance in a normal world.
Again, I haven't researched the whole thing.
If I chose as if I was president and the person
Oh, this leads to another topic,
and the
but go ahead. Go
person
ahead.
I picked was a member of the Nazi Party. Wouldn't that be kind of odd?
It would be disquieting.
Especially after Hillary makes all these crazy deals with Iran and we lose the Iraq War and all these things. Don't you think there's a weird connection that she would have her main advisor, not assistant, advisor, a member of the Muslim Brotherhood? That doesn't give you a moment of thought.
It might encourage, if I remember after we leave here, maybe I'll Google it and
All
see.
right.
But there's a thing that I think you do in our debates, which is you grab on to one or two of the more egregious things that happen, say in a presidential administration.
Yeah.
Like the Obama and Hillary made what looks like a disastrous call in terms of taking out Gaddafi in Libya without a plan or whatever to what's going to happen after you take out Gaddafi. Gaddafi was a monster and certainly deserved whatever bad crap happened to him. But without him, Libya has turned into a failed state. Right? I mean, you agree with that.
Yes.
Okay. And then you say, well, how can you vote for somebody who did that? And I was thinking about that, and if you look back on presidential history, every president that I know of has screwed up majorly.
Yeah.
Obama had that screw up.
Yeah, and he lost the Iraq War.
You'd argue that, but I wouldn't. But still, Libya looks not good. Trump has had some things that look like not triumphs.
Well, he didn't lose the Iraq War.
Bush, G.W. Bush, 43,
Won the first Gulf War.
got us into this ruinous trillion-dollar Gulf War.
Now, by the way, the Gulf War that drove Saddam out of Kuwait, it was a complete victory.
Well, that was Bush 41. That was in 1991.
Right. I thought we were going down president by president.
We are, but I mean, yeah, but then you had wait, you're leaving out Clinton. I'm sure you could think of some things that Clinton did that you would consider screw up.
Not as bad as what Obama did in losing the Iraq War.
Well, he did sexing in the Oval Office.
I don't give a damn if he did sexing in the Oval Office.
Well,
thousands of people were not murdered because of him.
All right. Well, anyway, so you got George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, raised taxes and was didn't get reelected because of that.
And it was one of the easiest and most powerful victories in the history of the United States.
The 1991 one.
Yeah, he defeated. He drove Saddam out of Kuwait in 100 hours.
Yeah, it was a great little war.
With alliances from all the major countries in the world, including the Arab countries.
Yeah, I do have one.
It was a complete success, Rick.
No, it wasn't. I was on Jeopardy the day that ground war started, and my Jeopardy was preempted.
All right, so it wasn't a complete success.
No.
It was almost like Obama allowing the rise of ISIS. Fair enough.
Though you could argue that
They never showed your Jeopardy episode?
they showed it on a Saturday, and actually it wasn't that bad for me because I came in second, so it wasn't like. It was used as like one of those filler Jeopardies, like if a sporting event ends prematurely and they need to fill 20 minutes or half an hour or something.
Don't say the word premature. Okay?
All right. So anyway, then you go back before Bush 41. You got Reagan. Reagan had his screw-ups. Iran-Contra.
Yeah.
But like every president, the only president I don't know that he...
Wait. Reagan didn't lose any war. He won the Cold War. It was one of the greatest victory times in the United States history.
Well, the Cold War didn't really end till under the next president, but you can say, yeah, he set up the victory if you want.
He set up the victory, yeah. We brought the Soviet Union to its knees.
But hold on. Just because Reagan did some good stuff doesn't mean that he didn't have some screw-ups. And you could consider Iran-Contra. He got embroiled in this whole scandal.
Yeah, but thousands of people weren't killed the way they were with Obama several times.
Many tens of thousands were killed because of Bush 43 getting us into. Anyway, I just want to say that like every president that I know of, with the exception of Eisenhower, and that's just because I don't know enough about Eisenhower, going all the way back to Hoover and before that back to Woodrow Wilson, has had significant failures in his administration. So just by citing one of the failures, that doesn't necessarily disqualify a preference for a president.
Okay, I have 2 points.
Okay.
The first point is that, and you need to deal with both of them. The first point is, in all the time we've been arguing, you have never given me a reason why Obama was such a great president that we can ignore a few failures. In other words, okay, so I list his failures, and then you say, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, he was a heck of a president. You should have voted for him, Lance. He just made one mistake. All presidents make mistakes. Well, what were his great successes? Hold your thought.
Okay.
What were his great successes? What were the successes of Obama? But there's more. My point that I've been trying to make to you for almost a year is that no president in the history of the United States ever deliberately lost a war. That's the reason I hate Obama. I hate Obama because we were in a position of victory and he turned it into a defeat against the advice of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the whole Republican Congress, and even Hillary Clinton. Everybody said you need to leave a team there. You need to leave a base there to protect Iraq because it's not stable. But no, he had to pull out every single soldier. And 150,000 deaths later, Trump managed to save the day and defeat ISIS. Now, my question to you
there's
is
a
this.
lot wrong with what you're saying.
No,
There's
there's
a lot-
not. There's
all
not.
right.
No. So I just want to make this clear. Did Roosevelt deliberately lose a war? Did Truman, Johnson, Nixon, Kennedy,
Well, who lost the Vietnam
Bush?
War?
The Democrat Congress?
Oh, so the president doesn't have anything to do with that war?
No, they refused to authorize. You don't remember the sequence of
I
events?
know what
I've
we
gone
talked.
over it.
I know.
Just briefly for the studio
No,
audience.
no. Let's not. Come on.
No,
come on. No.
briefly.
No.
I'll keep it brief. I'll keep it brief. Nixon signed the Paris Peace Accords. saying that Vietnam would be divided into North and South, South would remain free. After Nixon was driven from office, the North invaded again. Ford couldn't do anything. He went to the Democrat Congress under Ted Kennedy and said, you need to authorize funding so we can bomb the North Vietnamese army. They violated the peace agreement. And Ted Kennedy said, we're not only going to not allow you to bomb North Vietnam, their army, we're not even going to resupply the South Vietnamese army. So when they run out of bullets, they're doomed. So the Democrats lost the Vietnam War, and then Obama lost the Iraq War.
So, with regard to Vietnam, you're expressing a teeny minority opinion. You're fighting a war that ended 42 and a half years ago. And you're kind of going against the judgment of even McNamara, who was the architect of that war throughout the 60s.
Nothing I said can be refuted. Nothing. Wait. One, Paris Peace Accords was...
Most of the people watching this thing weren't even born when the Vietnam War ended.
And that's an argument?
Yeah, because we want people to frickin' watch this thing.
We're supposed to be talking about Kim Kardashian?
Yes. Have you seen the Calvin Klein underwear that the Kardashians are promoting right now? It is so not appealing to me.
People ask me why I lose my temper. Okay, wait. It is you can look up
you said briefly, but now we're done with
any history book, and you will find that the Democrat Congress cut off resupply to South Vietnam, leaving them defenseless.
They were already sucking. But anyway, let's move on from Vietnam. They weren't
sucking. They had their whole country.
Oh, they were pretty shitty for decades. They had bad leadership. Anyway, let's move on to...
So wait a minute, you were supposed to tell me what the great accomplishments of Obama were.
Okay, well, let's talk about Obama because...
Yeah, what were the accomplishments? Why should
let's talk about Obama's place in history. When you look at Wikipedia's survey of, I don't know, it's probably somebody else's survey that they're quoting, of where the presidents rank in terms of relative greatness or suckiness, Obama comes in around 15th out of 45 presidents.
Meaning 15th most shitty or 15th greatest?
About the 15th best out of 45, which is not the best. He's right around the 70th percentile.
Okay. Why do you think he is such a great man, Rick? Please tell me.
That's not a great... We haven't had a great president in our lifetimes. We haven't had, like... You could argue that FDR sucked in some ways, but he's a big part of history, and he got us through World War II, and he helped us through the Depression, depending on your point of view.
I don't want to talk about FDR. You were supposed to tell me why Obama was a great president.
He was a decent president.
Why was
he was
even
better
a
than
decent
average.
President? Why?
He helped get us out of the Great Recession. He established he made it easier for us to work with the rest of the world diplomatically.
In what way? Be specific.
In terms of demeanor, he didn't come across as a crazy cowboy. He didn't get us in.
No, wait a minute. What are the consequences of not coming across as a crazy cowboy, specifically?
Well, one of America's strengths since the end of World War II and during World War II was our alliances internationally.
I see. So you're saying our alliances were better under Obama than they were under Bush? You know that by the time Obama left office, our country was a laughingstock. I mean, you know that the Egyptians hated him, the Saudis hated him, the Chinese had no respect for him.
Oh, do you think
Nobody
the Chinese respect Trump? All right,
the Chinese are not as bold as they were under Obama. The Chinese ran all over Obama. The Chinese took over the South China Sea and the...
Yeah, but they're still doing stuff like that.
Well, no, they're not. They built all those things under Obama, and Trump now has a huge force out there watching them. So
Have those spaces gone away?
they haven't gone away, but they're not getting any bigger, and there aren't any more of them. And by the way, how did you feel when the Iranians took captive one of our ships and made our men?
You mean for 24 hours and made those guys kneel for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
half
Do you
a
know
second?
there's a statue of kneeling American sailors in Iran right now? They made a bronze to it.
Awesome. They made a statue out because they held an American ship for 24 hours.
They humiliated our country, and they made those guys talk too. They gave up secrets.
What secrets?
Well, they didn't tell me the
Because they're
secrets.
secrets. They're secrets.
Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is, do you think that anybody would fuck around with Trump? You think they've pulled any shit like that since Trump came into office?
I think they pulled different shit.
No,
There's a whole article I just read in the New Yorker that about what China is doing in the leadership vacuum, in the diplomatic vacuum created by Trump's failing to, have much support for.
Did you know that that Egypt had to actually overthrow the Muslim Brotherhood because Obama supported them, and they put in they started to put in a Sharia dictatorship where Egypt was going to be governed by Islamic law for the first time in their history.
Yeah, and then they had to overthrow that.
And it had to be overthrown. The ally of Obama had to be overthrown by the new Egyptian government, who hated his guts. And they were so happy. They were so happy when Trump came into office. They treated Pence like a king because Obama betrayed Egypt. Egypt was our ally, and he supported the Muslim Brotherhood, tried to turn the country into the same kind of country that Iran was. You call that diplomatic success?
I'll give you this. I'll give you I don't think Trump was confrontational enough.
Netanyahu hated his guts.
Okay.
Netanyahu had to come here to the United States and
Netanyahu
beg.
came here and dissed the president. He was a dick.
He was a dick. Oh, he was a dick. Well, he was mad because Obama was going to give Iran nuclear bombs. I guess that pissed him off.
All right, we're going to move on from here because we've had this discussion like 5 times.
No. You told me that Obama was a big diplomatic success. And I'm telling you that our closest ally in the Eastern Hemisphere, Israel, hated his guts. They were terrified. They were begging him not to make that agreement. Their leader had to come to our country and beg. I watched the speech. He begged, please do not let Obama make this deal with Iran. Our country could be nuked. You think that's a diplomatic success? Pissing off our greatest ally? Betraying Egypt?
Are they still our ally?
Now they are. They didn't have a choice. They were scared out of their wits. So Israel hated him. Egypt hated him.
How many countries
the Saudis hated him.
How many countries are there in the world, Lance?
There are over 180.
There's like 200. Well, yeah, right. That's fine. Anyway. So
the internet has been saying that the Obama economic policies are finally kicking in, and he should deserve credit for the economy. How do you feel about that?
Well, here's how I feel. Trump is currently feuding with Jay-Z, and one of the things Trump brings up is that Trump has lowered black unemployment to its lowest point in history. Under Obama, black unemployment reached a peak of 17.9% in January 2010, and by the end of Obama's time in office, it had dropped 9.4% to 7.9% by the time he left office. So it dropped 9.4%. Under Trump, it's dropped another 1.6%. So out of the 11% that it's dropped since January 2010, in the aftermath of the Great Recession, 9.4% of that drop was under Obama, 1.6% was under Trump.
Okay, well, the reason that statistic is irrelevant is because the smaller unemployment gets, the less it can drop.
So, okay, I can give you that. the rate at which black unemployment is dropping under Trump is at a slightly faster rate than under Obama. Though under Obama, you had the peak coming, and then you had, it's like being at the top of a roller coaster. Then, unemployment is semi-flat, and then it drops slow, then it really starts dropping, and now we're still in the zippy part of the roller coaster phase. But Obama presided over the turnaround from increasing unemployment to decreasing unemployment.
Well, actually, I'm going to say something just to be fair, and that is that this quarter, the Trump economy is only at
2.6.
2.6. So it hasn't hit 4, which is what I was hoping. It was at 3 and 3.3, and which was very high compared to Obama's. And now it didn't keep going up. It's kind of leveling down again. So I'll give you that. But there are companies all over the country that are giving huge tax dividends to their employees. All the major companies every single day.
We can talk about, like, for instance, Home Depot announced it was giving $1,000 to employees.
As well as, like...
But it turns out Home Depot is giving $1,000 bonuses to people who've worked for Home Depot for 20 years. If you've worked there for 7 to 9 years, you get $300. If you've worked there under 2 years, you get $200, which isn't nothing. But it's nothing like the more than $1 billion that Home Depot is expected to receive in tax cuts.
Well, look, all the different companies are giving their employees different amounts and good amounts, and you still haven't answered 2 questions. Now, these are just logic questions. They don't require knowledge of a PhD in economics. And I asked you this last week, but I still don't have an answer.
Okay.
If Trump's economic policies are poor compared to Obama's, then why isn't the economy suddenly going badly again? Because we're doing Trump economics.
Well,
why didn't it reverse and start going at bad?
Well, I've been thinking about this. Not exactly those questions, but I would guess that the ideal mix in terms of having a healthy economy in the long term is an alternation and a mix of Republican and Democratic policies. That under Republicans who like to reduce regulation, the economy speeds up, heats up, and tends to crash if it's allowed to go on too long. And then under Democrats, you might get maybe too much regulation, which tends to slow things down more than is perhaps optimal. And throughout history, we've had alternating we've had different teams being in charge.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And
the only reason it crashed is because the Democrats wanted people to give loans to poor people and minorities, and those loans couldn't be paid back.
Well, it's more than that. It's more than that. It's that the people originating those loans came up with a scam that they would create these really shifty loans and then package them and sell them like a hot potato, get rid of them before they went bad. It was a huge scam. Now, you can argue about whether it was primarily Republicans or Democrats, but it was primarily the frickin' mortgage originators. It was, the Wild West for a bunch of years.
Yeah, but they were being encouraged by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all these things.
Well, there's enough blame to go around.
But all right, and okay. So my second question.
But hold on, let me just say that these are the 2 watchwords that I've developed over this year, which is look it up, read about this stuff yourself, and wait and see. Like this quarter, Trump growth is 2.6%. Maybe it'll hit 3 next quarter. Maybe it won't. We've got to wait and see. Same as we have to kind of wait and see as to what the Mueller investigation is going to deliver.
Okay, and I keep asking you this other question. If Trump is a racist, then what has he done to hurt black people, since racists always want to hurt black people?
Well, he said a bunch of racist stuff, and he's encouraged the number of racist incidents.
No, he hasn't. You're just making that up.
Well, he said stuff that at least implies that he's sympathetic.
Like what?
Oh, like there are good people on both sides.
Now, you know that he meant there were good people like myself that didn't want those statues to be removed. And good
Well, that's
people
not how it was interpreted by
the U.S. media, by the liberal media.
And the Ku Klux Klan. They've supported some of his statements.
But it's true. There were good people that didn't want the statues removed.
Well, he wasn't very clear in saying that.
No, but it was clear to me.
Yeah, but you're one dude.
No, it was clear to every reasonable person. Democrats said, racist! Now tell me what racist thing he has done since he's been in office. When did he hurt black people?
It's
Tell me.
mostly what he says.
He's employing them. He's giving them the best employment they've ever had. When did he hurt black people, Rick?
When he's kind of set up an environment.
Like what?
in which-
Like what? What did he say? What did he say? What did he say?
I don't know. I mean,
You
he said
don't
a bunch
know,
of-
do you?
No, I did. If you want to give me time to come up with
All right,
stuff.
I'll give you time.
He said the good people on both sides.
Yeah, meaning there were people that wanted to keep the statues because
Yeah,
it's
but that was
important.
not clear in what he said.
It was clear to me. It was clear
Yeah,
to every single Republican. It wasn't clear to Democrats and Democrat press.
Well, that's half of people.
No, it's people that don't want to believe that. Now that I explain it to you, are you smart enough to understand that some people
I might
didn't think we should get rid of the statues? Couldn't you be a nice person and not want to get rid of a old statue, a charming old statue of Robert E. Lee on a horse? Couldn't you be a good person?
Couldn't he
and
have been
still-
a more clear communicator?
I think he was clear. I think
Yeah,
people
but-
that wanted to hate him interpreted it that way. What do you think he really meant? Yeah, we should have statues of slave owners because I hate black people and
No,
we need
he's
to
a-
celebrate slavery?
At the
You
very-
think that's what he meant?
At the very least, he's a sloppy communicator.
Wow, that means he
And-
must be a racist.
Well, he's got a history of.
What other racist things has he done? This is getting tiresome. What other racist things has he done? Let's hear the racism.
Oh, do you want to go all the way back to?
Yes, let's hear the racism.
I don't want to talk.
No,
about
you
this
don't want
stuff.
to talk about it because you can't come up with
No,
anything.
because we've gone over it and it's
No, no,
boring.
no,
back
where
in the
is he? Why is he a
70s when he
racist?
and his dad wouldn't rent to black people. At their-
Okay, you know what that's about?
I know that
was-
the government
he,
didn't.
No, he was part of a class action suit where every single hotel and apartment owner was sued in the city of New York. His name happened to be on that. It was a class action suit. And it was Democrat propaganda, and you fell for it.
No, it wasn't. There was a thing that was specifically against him. I don't know
Yeah,
whether it
they
was part of a
specifically
large.
mentioned him and every other renter in New York.
They sent black people in to see if they would be rented to at Trump
Yeah,
properties, and they weren't, though identically qualified white people sent in by the
Okay,
government were offered apartments.
All right, what I heard was
Also,
that-
they were colored applicants had a C on their marked on their applications by Trump personnel.
Okay, well, I never heard that. I heard that it was a class action suit, and I'd be happy to look this thing up.
Ooh, that's the deal. Look it up yourself.
All right,
That's
since he's been president, what racist things has he done now that he's all powerful and can really hurt black people? What racist things has he done? How does he hurt black people?
He tends to feud more with black people. Right now, he's in a feud with Jay-Z.
Okay, that doesn't mean you're a racist. I hate Jay-Z too, and I don't even know who he is.
Why do you hate Jay-Z?
I'm just making that up. What racist things has he done since he's been president?
It's mostly the way he talks.
Those are not racist things, Rick.
Well, he's kind of like an old racist guy who talks the
No,
way an
no,
old
he's
racist
not.
guy.
No,
Anyway,
he's not. He's
I don't
like
know how.
a nice person. He hasn't done anything racist. You haven't come up with anything.
Fine, let's move on.
But you know what? I resent you calling someone a racist that's not a racist. Don't you think that's a little fucked that you did that?
Nah, I mean, maybe he's only as racist as the average 71-and-a-half-year-old
No,
dude.
I think he's a racist if he does something that's racist and you can come up with it.
Well,
but you
what about,
can't.
all right, so what
It's
about,
embarrassing.
okay, so
It's
like,
sad.
being more concerned about Houston than Puerto Rico, which is full of,
You have no evidence for that.
yeah, kind of do.
What is the evidence?
Look at the shape Puerto Rico's in compared to the, and what, are you going to say it's because they have had worse infrastructure to begin with?
Yes, I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that it was too corrupt and that it was very difficult to reach them because it's an island and everything had to be shipped over and Houston was right there and it wasn't as corrupt and the buildings were built better in Houston because it's not as poor of an area and you have zero evidence that Trump is a racist. You have zero evidence. You're a slanderer. You're just maligning this poor guy,
Well,
calling
as a
him
public
a racist.
figure, it's much harder to slander the guy.
No, but
The
my
slander
point is,
laws
my
are
point
just-
is, you're sitting back there calling this guy a racist with zero evidence. I'm waiting, and I haven't heard a damn thing.
you're making a big deal out of me. I don't really
I
care.
am. I'm making
All
a
right,
big
so-
deal about it because I think it sucks. I think it's very, very bad to call someone a racist that's not a racist.
Okay, so maybe he's just a guy with maybe he's just got the attitudes of your average 71-and-a-half-year-old
Prove it.
golfer.
Prove that he's a racist. Prove it.
You've got his history of discrimination against black renters. He
And
didn't want to.
I'm telling you, it was a class action suit.
Yeah, nah.
And I want to know, now that he's got all this power, what is he doing to hurt black people?
Well, what's he doing he doesn't have to be black people. He doesn't seem to have a lot of love for El Salvadoran people that he wants to send back. But, I don't want to argue his level of racism. Maybe he's only a casual. What I'd rather argue.
I want you.
No, hold on. Here's what. No, I'm not
making
gonna defend calling him a racist. What I am going to defend is that he's a sloppy communicator and one of the consequences of his sloppy communication and decision making is that it allows people to have the impression that he's a racist.
No, it allows Democrats like you to lie about him. And by the way,
Well, I don't think I'm lying about it.
Whatever president we had, if he was a Republican, you'd still say he was a racist. If it was Ted Cruz, you'd say he was a racist.
I don't know.
If it was Bush,
Well, nobody. No, hold on. Nobody said Bush was.
It's a wrong thing to do, Rick. Do you understand? I realize you're a Democrat, but do you
hold on.
realize it's wrong to call someone a racist when you don't have any evidence?
I'm saying he's a sloppy communicator. And
So wait a minute. Is he a racist or a sloppy communicator?
I think he's probably a little racist the way old guys
Can you
are.
give me the
I just
the
gave you a bunch of examples.
No,
I
no,
just
you
gave-
didn't give me a bunch of
I
examples.
gave you a couple.
No, you didn't. You
well-
didn't. You said that.
All right, I'm going to
that
break
the-
anyway. I'm going to break.